Let the games commence. That's the risk of not using a collar. We got here is the exhaust manifold. There are your manifold studs that we're going to remove. We're reusing them. I like these studs, the factory studs. It's a stainless steel grade. Also, it has these collars built in. If you look at the replacement style, they don't have a collar built in. It'll stop, but it doesn't have a collar for the flange to stop. Also, I had to get an aftermarket exhaust manifold because the original OEM manifold's back ordered. On these cars and trucks, I prefer to use OEM parts. Each side you need 2 of these. These are your exhaust manifold gaskets. These are a multi-layer steel gasket. These here are your studs. You need 8 of them. These are your nuts. You need 8 of them. That's the aftermarket exhaust manifold right there. That's a Dorman part number. They come with a gasket. I prefer not to use the gasket that comes with it because it's a asbestos fiber gasket. Also, they come with studs and nuts, which is good for the flange. They do not come with the studs and nuts to the cylinder head, which is no big deal. You just buy them from Ford. By far, they make the best for these cars. Quick tip on these manifolds. When you're using especially aftermarket manifolds, make sure all your ports are clear. Stick your finger down through there. Make sure your finger goes through. Reason being, on a newer 4.6 liter, shop around the corner from me, cylinder number 6 misfire. Second cylinder back. The port was restricted and was not allowing the exhaust to get out. After exhaust manifold replacement, developed a misfire. A lot of shops went nuts trying to find the problem. Replacing fuel injectors, replacing spark plugs, all kinds of stuff. Just a quick overview. Tools I'm going to use to remove them. Number 1, oxyacetylene torch. Number 2, air chisel. If you notice, you can see there's a square oval style on the end that you can grab. That's old school shock absorber. There's 2 different sizes. That's for removing shock absorber nuts. It's a Mako tool. I own 2 of each size. So it's a Mako SPS 28. Reason I own 2. I always have one hooked up to a power tool of some sort, and I always have one hooked up to a hand tool of one sort. What I like to do, as you're going to see, I heat it up, get this cherry red, and I work it. I don't like a ratchet in this instance because I may have to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And if I'm going back and forth with the ratchet, you have to keep switching directions. So breaker bar works very well for that. And then I can always leave this hooked up. Reason being is that son of a bitch gets hot. So will this one once I start heating here. So once I start heating here, you're not going to want to switch these sockets. Also, these are my chisel bits. Now we're obviously not reusing that manifold, so I don't care what happens to it. So I have a pointed chisel, flat tip chisel, a chisel, cutting chisel, and then a chisel that had broken on me, and I whacked it short. The reason being is, when you put it in your shank of your air hammer, the closer it is to this barrel of the air hammer, you get a lot more power. So if you really want to drive on something, take an old chisel bit, whack it short, take your spring and collar off, and put that in there. I am operating the air chisel without a protection device on the end, the spring, whatever, quick connect for speed and distance. Striker, torch goggles, earplugs, safety glasses, some sprays. I like CRC Power Lube for just general spray, thin lubricant. Then I use Sauce Metal FX, rust penetrating foam. this really works well. So as you can see, this manifold had a hole in it, rotted through. You can see it's pretty deteriorated there. I'm going to show you my methods of removing these studs. They're fairly clean. Like I said, those studs are a grade of stainless. I don't know what grade of stainless they are, but they don't rust. That's why I reuse them. If you use the aftermarket studs, these here, they will rust pretty quickly, especially here in a northern state. Okay, so if I'm reusing this manifold and I had to get these out to replace them, I would just use the torch. Cherry red this ear and unzip this. For speed, quickness, because these can fight you, what I'm going to do is I am going to take a air chisel and I'm going to make a flat on here, hit it real hard, and then I'm going to take a standard chisel and I'm going to go like that and work it along here. Mind you, this the chisel method is because I'm not reusing this, and what I'm doing is releasing the stresses inside this casting to release this, so this way I don't break this or damage this. That'll allow also for penetrant to get inside. Sometimes that's all you need to do on a manifold is just hit it with the chisel and you break free that rust and you'll be able to get it out. I know from removing these that chisel method, heating this cherry red with the torch almost liquid to get that out. So that's what we're going to do here. This one here, you see, will just come out just with the air chisel method. That one won't move. Cool trick. Need to light the torch. Still don't want to budge. Now mind you, I was cherry red. I don't know if it's hot enough yet. Tells you how flammable acetylene is. Keep your torch moving. You really don't want to keep it in one spot. Got the stud loose.
see what I'm talking about without working it back and forth.